Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of More with Dr. Elly. I am your host. My name is Dr. Eleanor Conjay, and I'm so happy that you get to join us once again as we continue the conversation around the topic of personal branding. In last week's episode, we talked about the value and the power of building an effective personal brand, and also what are the steps that you can take to build your personal brand. In today's episode, I want to go ahead and continue to explore some of the uncomfortability that some of you might have around the notion of visibility. And I know that a lot of people are really reserved about building a personal brand or even going on the journey of building a personal brand, including in coaching, because they're uncomfortable with too much visibility and because they have not confronted their own ideologies around what visibility might mean to them or around what maybe people seeing them too much. What message might that be sending? I've literally had clients ask me the question, what don't you think that people are going to think I'm posting too much? Don't you think that if people keep seeing me over and over again, they're going to end up blocking me or not wanting to communicate with me? There's a lot of doubt and fears that we carry around the notion of visibility, especially for us as women, and in particular, women of color. One of the things that I always say to them is that imagine a white American man. Do you think that a white American man who is ready to position himself to be able to get whatever CEO job he's looking for is going to have an issue with visibility? Why is it that as women, we fear being visible? What have we been taught about visibility that makes us so uncomfortable when it comes to putting ourselves out there? What are the notions around these that we need to confront in ourselves? That's what we're going to be talking about in today's episode. A lot of us as women are socialized and conditioned to think that self-promotion is a bad thing, or to think that when we are promoting ourselves, then it means that we are actually wanting to be the center of everybody's world. One of the things that I challenge my clients to do is to really think through, if you are not the one talking about the work that you're doing, because no one knows exactly the work that you're doing except really for you. So if you're not talking about the work that you're doing, how can you expect other people to know the work that you're doing, to understand the work that you're doing, and to support the work that you're doing? A lot of the times we also fear being perceived as overly self-promotional and not enough substance. But if we actually give ourselves permission to promote the work that we do, to actually share the work that we do, not through the lens of vanity, but through the lens of effective visibility, we actually give ourselves permission to share a lot more of the substance that we carry and that actually can positively impact and help other people who are looking for that information. One of the reasons why positioning is important when you're building your personal brand, and we talked about positioning in the last episode, is because when you are rightly positioned, the people that you're sharing that information with, the people that you are communicating your personal brand to, are actually going to want to hear more and more from you because they'll find value in the information that you have to share. They'll find value in the work that you are doing as a leader. Therefore, one of the things that we need to do within ourselves is to really dismantle this conceptualization that visibility means that we're overly promoting ourselves and therefore we're just going to get on people's nerves and we're actually not going to be perceived as substantive enough. We need to be able to dismantle that and really, most importantly, understand that this is coming from a socialization and a conditioning for us as women leaders, that makes us want to stay quiet. I share this story all the time. I have now been teaching for the last 6 years. Every time I ask a question in my classroom with my undergraduate students, guess who are the first people to raise their hands? Yes, you've guessed it. It's always my male students. And usually they're the ones who have not done the homework. And usually they are the ones who actually don't really pay attention a lot of the times to what's happening in class, but they're the ones every single time I ask a question who are raising their hands first. Why is it in 2026 that my young women in class who've done their homework, usually, who are excellent, and really I know that they're paying attention to the conversations that we're having in class, why is it that they're reserved from raising their hands? Why is it that they wait until the boys get it so wrong that they finally, or I finally have to force them to actually speak up? Because we are conditioned and socialized to watch things happen around us. And we're conditioned to think that being assertive is not good. Being self-promotional is not good. And what I'm saying to you is that no one is going to speak for you the way that you can speak for yourself and the work that you do. Therefore, if you really want an effective personal brand that's actually going to reach the audiences that it needs to reach, you need to dismantle those ideologies and understand that it is okay for you to put yourself out there. It is okay to communicate and share what you're doing, because you never know who's looking for that information in your audience and who desperately needs it. And meanwhile, here you are just hiding. The thing about it is that remaining invisible as women leaders does not help anybody at all. And also, this notion that we should let our work speak for itself actually does not help us as women leaders, because you and I understand that in order for your work to speak for itself, somebody actually has to see your work. And if somebody's going to see your work, you actually have to put your work out there for them to be able to see it. You cannot expect anybody to go out there looking for you, looking to promote you, if you are not the one with clarity sharing exactly what you are doing. And the truth of the matter is that systems themselves do not benefit from you remaining invisible and you remaining quiet and you hiding yourself. Part of the reason why I'm so passionate about helping women build personal brands, and especially executive women build their executive brands, is because we need to be talking more and more about the work and the impact that women leaders are actually doing out there. A lot of us don't know much about women. We really don't. I was challenged a couple of weeks ago, and I shared this story in a different podcast, to really name like who are the wealthiest women that I know. And I mentioned that it was Oprah, who I could only think about, like the richest women in the world. Well, the truth of the matter is that there's so many women out there, rich women out there, impactful women out there. But because we live in a patriarchal society, we don't pay attention. Therefore, systems are not benefiting at all from the invisibility of women, and an invisibility that we are perpetuating ourselves because we don't want to put ourselves out there. When we are quiet, when we're silent, when we choose to be invisible and not claim our power and work our authority and become influential, we're the ones actually perpetuating patriarchy and perpetuating the norms where we are continuously sidelines for opportunities that we deserve to have. One of the things that I want to remind you is that your visibility is not about your ego. Your visibility is about your leadership. You have to understand that the work that you're doing is important enough for it to be recognized, for it to be celebrated, and of course, for it to be rewarded. And in order for you to actually make your influence scalable, where you have more and more people understanding the work that you're doing and supporting the work that you're doing, you gotta be intentional about sharing that work and positioning yourself in the right places at the right time, both offline, like I talked about in the last episode, as well as online. And in order for us to ensure that power is circulating and that the people who deserve opportunities are actually getting the opportunities that they deserve, we gotta challenge ourselves and stop ourselves from being shy about whatever it is that we are doing. We gotta challenge ourselves to put ourselves out there, to put our work out there, and understand that we deserve to be at the table. We deserve to be creating the table, and our work deserves to be recognized, and we deserve to be visible as women leaders. One of the things that I keep explaining to the women executives that I work with is the fact that we live in a world where only certain types of leadership styles and certain types of visibility and authority and influence are actually celebrated within society. And like I shared earlier, that's because we live in a patriarchal society that is not comfortable with the visibility and the expression of power from women. Therefore, if women themselves continue to be shy and reserved about the ways in which they actually influence and actually share and lead, then we actually are disadvantaging society by not creating spaces where women's work, women's visibility, women's power, women's influence, women's authority is being normalized. And it goes through personal branding and executive brand management for women is so that we can normalize the visibility, the influence, and the power of women leaders. That way, when we ask who is the richest woman in the world, we are able to answer that question. When we ask who is the most influential African woman or Black woman, we're able to answer that question. When we ask who is the wealthiest Indian woman, Chinese woman, we're able to answer that question. So as I round up this episode, I want you to think about personal branding as a tool for your leadership. Because what personal branding does for you is help you clarify the work that you do. It helps you reduce the misinterpretation of your work. It helps you translate your expertise across different contexts, and it helps you carry your influence beyond your proximity. And of course, it helps support your long-term leadership and desire to continue to be in positions of power where you as a woman leader can make a difference. I also want to challenge you to think about personal branding as a form of your own agency. Because what personal branding can do for you as a woman leader is help you define yourself first before anybody defines what you are. It also helps you reclaim the ownership of your narrative. You get to be the one to distinguish what people talk about, what the aroma that you leave behind long after you have left the room. It gives you the power to live in your identity, in your values, in your purpose, in your mission, and be clear about how you communicate. In that regard, personal branding is a leadership system because it allows you to create influence, create change, and make impact simply by taking ownership of the narrative regarding who you are and ensuring that the message that people are listening to and hearing from you and the one that is left behind long after you've left the room is actually in alignment with who you are as a leader and is actually grounded in your mission and in your values and in whatever difference that you're looking to make in the world. So this is a conversation that I wanted to have with you so that you get more and more comfortable about visibility and that you challenge yourself and you challenge perspectives that you were raised with, especially to think that your work is always going to speak for itself. No, it is not. Therefore, you better learn how to promote yourself the way that white American men do. Because if you're going to learn anything from white American men, it's how to promote yourself, how to show up in the right spaces at the right time to create opportunities for yourself. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope that you've subscribed to our channel from whatever platform that you're listening to. Share this episode with someone that you know sometimes question themselves and questions why and when they should show up. And of course, make sure you come back as we continue this conversation on personal branding on this platform, More with Dr. Elly. I will speak to you next time. Thank you for tuning in.